as well, and really a great night of action. A lot of chalk on the Kansas side, a lot of favorites, a lot of home teams winning games, and on the Missouri side had a upset here or there, but some good wins. Let's go ahead and jump right to it. Maybe one of the best games of the night out in Green Valley. Harrisville jumped out early in this game, 7-0, and Green Valley was able to get tied. You get a little touchdown run here. That's the first. It gets into down to the 2. And then they finish this drive off right here and get a score. And that Harrisville was off and running there, and Green Valley scored later on to kind of get this thing close, and they battled all the way. And there's a turnover, and it looked like Harrisville was going to win this easy. But Green Valley battled back to make it 24-21, and that'd be as close as they get. Good season for Green Valley, but man, Harrisville's right back at it. They get this win here. Now they go to host Webb City next Friday night in a rematch of last year's quarterfinal that Harrisville won down at Webb City. So a good win for them, and that's, Harrisville. It looked like not a middling team, but not as good a team as they were last year, but they're kind of doing the same thing they did last year. Lost to Green Valley in the regular season, win the district in the postseason, and now they're off to face Webb City again, who had an easy 42-21 win over Carl Junction. And I think that says a lot because Carl Junction's kind of been right behind them. The only loss they had all season long was to Webb City. Let's go ahead and take a look now at our next game, Center and Pleasant Hill. And this game is all Center early. They got off the 21-point lead. Mon Ryan with a run here. Talented quarterbacks, had another great year for them. Pleasant Hill gets a touchdown here, so I think this cuts it to 21-6 after a 21-0 lead. Pleasant Hill, good run for them in the postseason. Get another score late here.
Preps KC with head coach Brian DeLong of Center High School after they win 38-13 over Pleasant Hill in the Class 3 District 7 championship game. Coach, you both first drives of the game, both teams got to midfield, stalled. Now on the second drive, Pleasant Hill takes it down to the goal line. You guys stuff them, and then you drive at 96 yards back down the field and get a Mon Ryan 4-yard run. I mean, how big was that to start that game out with?
It was huge. I really thought that set the tone. Our defense, they got down there and had ahead of the chains inside the 10, first and goal, and I thought our defense stepped up tremendously. We were just happy to get a stop, hoping to get a first down to punt it, and for the offense to come out and answer the call and drive, like you said, 90 yards was a huge confidence booster and big thing for us.
Obviously, it felt like, again, like the Odessa game last week, that you guys just kind of took the offense of the opponent out of rhythm. Is that true? Or?
Yeah, defense did a good job, and we bent quite a bit against Odessa, and we bent some tonight. Coach Smith and his staff do a great job. Those kids played their tail off from Pleasant Hill. They're a very quality team, and our kids just made a couple plays when it counted.
Next week, you go back up on the road to up north in Maryville, and it's redemption. Last year, you went up there.
Yeah, Maryville is the class of 3A football. Coach Webb and what his staff does up there. He's a guy I look up to and respect, and but we're excited to play them and have that challenge again, and to get to where you want to go. I feel you don't want to avoid those challenges. You want to meet them head on and go up there and compete with one of the teams in 3A that's been dominant the last 10 years. We're going to have that opportunity.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yep, appreciate it.
Center coach Brian DeLong, and Maryville goes on the road, gets a win at Chillicothe, and Center's got to go back up there again. Last year was a great game. I think the winner of that game's got a good chance to maybe take a shot at the state championship game. Blair Oaks and McClure South possibly are still out there, and really another good season for Center, man. They're another district championship, another run to the quarterfinals. Maybe this is the year they can get past Maryville and Coach Matt Webb up there, and that's all they do is make it to the quarterfinals or beyond. Another good season for them. Let's go ahead and take a look now at some Brockhurst Park Hill highlights. A great district final up north, and Park Hill came out in this game early. Touchdown there for Brockhurst, and that tied it at 7. Here's a blocked kick for a touchdown. Billy Maples looking at Ronnie Bell. Look at Ronnie Bell make moves here. It's kind of tough to see through the guys down the sidelines, but he is a big-time special player, breaking tackles. and really doing a great job. The crowd was pretty pumped there at Park Hill. And, you know, this is a Park Hill team that did beat Blue Springs in the regular season. Now they've got to go to Blue Springs, and I've just found out that game is actually going to be on Saturday. Park Hill's chosen to want to play on Saturday, so they're going to play that game Saturday at Blue Springs at 1 o'clock for the semifinal on the right to go to the state championship game. And Blue Springs trying to go back again for the second year. Park Hill trying to get to their first ever Class 6 state championship game. Let's go ahead and look at the scores on the Missouri side. This doesn't take as long when you get down to the nitty-gritty when you're in district finals. And we'll have the brackets updated here soon. I was updating them right before we went on the air, and have them up pretty much. We missed some scores on Missouri side, but my Kansas ones are pretty well done, and I'll get those updated and posted here pretty quick. But yeah, just another good week. Let's look on the Missouri side. You know, starting Class 5, Belton, this was back and forth, and then Belton turned it over on 4 straight possessions. They lose to Columbia Battle 44-21. Good season for them, but man, they've same spot they've been in the last few years in that district final. Blue Springs South, Blue Springs all over South. They were up 28-3 and 35-3 in this game, and looked really good in the first half, and just kind of dominated. Blue Springs South, good season. We're playing with a backup quarterback, Michael Muehlberger, after Brody Parker, their starter, went down, and just kind of got outmatched a little in this one. 35-17, Blue Springs over South. Crestridge season's come to an end. They lose to Lincoln in the district championship game. We talked about Harrisonville and Grain Valley 24-21. Holden wins the district 21-0 over Knob-Noster. And for their reward, they get to play Lafayette County for the second time, who won 41-27 over Lathrop. Another district title for Lafayette County. This looks like a lot like a team for a few years ago that had a chance to get to the semis. And there's Lamar's on the other side this year, so Lafayette County's got a chance. They win their next 2 games. They are state championship bound. Staley all over Liberty. You know, early on, Liberty was up, 7-0 and 10-7, and then really Staley just kind of put the Jets on at that point, went 49-21. Adrian's season's over. They lose in the district title game to Lockwood 8-0. Adrian had a really good year. Then their quarterback blew out his ACL, and so that made it tough on them. We talk about Maryville, Chillicothe. Chillicothe got out to an early lead in this game, and then Maryville kind of came back and got it going. Penny, the defending Class 1 state champion, goes down. So now we've had Class 1 and Class 6 have gone down. But 2, 3, 4, and 5 in Missouri are still alive. Plattsburgh loses at East Buchanan. East Buchanan, another district title. They'll play Princeton next week. Center, all over Pleasant Hill. We saw the highlights there, 38-13. They go to Maryville. Platte County, St. Joseph Lafayette. This was a 7-0 game at halftime. And then Platte County ran away with good coverage, and some highlights of that later. And then Fort Osage, William Christmas. Fort Osage trailed a couple times in this game, but really put it on in the second half. It's kind of been their way they're doing things the last few weeks. They will host Staley next week. I don't know if that's a Friday or Saturday game yet. We haven't. Some of these are still being decided. Let's go ahead and jump over to the Kansas side and take a look at some of the stuff over there. Start out with DeSoto.
Honestly, I can't say enough. I say it every week of how Coach Thamer gets our kids prepared to play. He breaks down film like crazy, and he gets all the statistics for down and distance and gets these guys prepared like crazy. And then the players put the work in also. They come in and watch film in the morning. They bust their ears during the week to get themselves prepared also. So hats off to them. But it's Coach Thamer, the way he preps these kids and the way they receive that and put the work in and get themselves ready to play.
Got some good athletes. They're big up front, and they got some small, quick guys in the secondary. So, you got 308 or 285-pound guys up front. It's hard to move them. So
it's huge, and I talk to these kids all the time. Momentum's huge in sports, and you get somebody some momentum, you got to try to stop it as soon as you can, not let it snowball and keep building. So for him to come back and answer right there, stomp that momentum out, is huge. Because you get that stuff rolling, sometimes you can't hardly stop it. The longer it goes, the harder it is to stop. So that was huge in making that big play for us.
Sean Kostner with that great report there, great video, and 42-7. DeSoto and Tonganoxie is a good football team. They're undefeated, and they lose at home 42-7. Let's go ahead and look at some of these Kansas scores here before we get you one more highlight. I'm going to do a quick one tonight, and we'll go over the Kansas side. And really, a lot of just big wins tonight. Bishop Miege all over Basehor Linwood, 58-6. Aquinas and Bonner Springs. That was kind of close early, and then Aquinas just took off 52-13. We just saw the highlights of DeSoto and Tonganoxie. Thursday night, Holton knocked Baldwin out in 4A Division II, 8-9. Lawrence Free State all over Junction City. They'll get Derby next. That's been the semifinal the last 2 years. Now it's a quarterfinal. But Free State's looking good, 47-14. They don't have to travel this year. They're at home all the way. They got the #1 seed. So if they can get that win, they've got a good chance. Take another step and get closer to maybe an all Kansas City Class 6A state championship. Olathe North all over Lawrence. They jumped out to an early 21-0 lead. Lawrence answered back with 14 points, but then Olathe North just took off from there. Mill Valley all over Schlegel tonight. A lot of turnovers for Schlegel on special teams. Ivan Webb was held to about 75 yards. Mill Valley back into the quarterfinals again and just keep doing the same thing. Shawnee Mission East all over Olathe Northwest. They look like they're really, churning right along. They'll get Blue Valley North next to beat Olathe East 48-30, and then Olathe South loses at Blue Valley. We're going to have some highlights of that here in just a second. Paola season comes in, they go to Labette County and lose. Labette County will now play Bishop Miege. I wish them luck on that. St. James 19-0 over Shawnee Heights. They'll now play Mill Valley. And then Pittsburgh all over Turner 61-6. They will come up and play St. Thomas Aquinas. That St. James game with Mill Valley, not sure where that'll be played. St. James has played their home games at Bonner, at Mill Valley, and at Miege. They can't play at Miege this week because Miege has a home game. But maybe they'll play at Bonner. I don't know if they'll play go ahead and play that game at Mill Valley. They've done that in the regular season. I don't know if they will do that in the postseason. So we'll get that updated as quick as we can. But let's go ahead and take a look at some Olathe South, Blue Valley highlights here. And really, Blue Valley's, they've had a tough year by Blue Valley standards, but they've looked pretty good so far in the postseason. And we get a nice run here for a touchdown. And, they've got Olathe North next. They've got a chance to, get back into that semifinals that they beat. You're talking Shawnee Mission East, Blue Valley North, Olathe North, and Blue Valley, which have been really the top dogs, if you throw Lawrence in there with them, on this side of the bracket the last few years in 6A on the Kansas side. So kind of the usual suspects are back. And it's really a situation where these teams have really, kind of gotten the playoffs. They've gotten bracketed out, and they're taking care of their business as they go through. Well, that's going to be our show this week, a real short one here. We've got a lot of great highlights this week, so stay with our YouTube channel tonight and tomorrow in case you're headed off to bed, and I'm going to call it a night. We'll have brackets updated here first, then we'll get stories and videos and photos out after that. Thanks a lot for being here. Always like and enjoy having everybody here, and got some great feedback last week from one of our viewers, and they said keep up the good work and pass the word. As we have more games on Saturday, we will probably do a Saturday edition next week, as some of those games will go on Saturday with some highlights and things like that. So again, like I said, check out later. We'll have the brackets up here pretty quick, and then stories and highlights after that. And if you're getting ready to go to bed, it'll all be there waiting for you in the morning. With all the updated scores and everything you need to know. So thanks a lot, and we'll catch up with you again here soon. We'll probably have a midweek preview show this week as well, and we'll get that out on Twitter and let you know when that's going to be. So thanks a lot.